Why I try to be gentle with people is because I think that sometimes somebody can hold an evil opinion without being evil themselves. And I think of times where...
What do you mean?
Well, I think of times where I didn't necessarily hold an evil opinion, but where I held a opinion that now I look back on and I'm like, oh, that's incorrect. And you can be led astray, you can be misinformed. And I think that I think of all of the cases that I've seen where somebody has reached out to another person and said, hey brother, hey sister, all due respect, you're incorrect about this. Let me show you why. And so I think that somebody can have, I think that somebody, for an example, I hear cases about, people who hate people from a racial group or a religious group or something, and then they actually learn more, something happens in their life and they go, oh my gosh, I was wrong. And they very much turn from somebody with a despicable belief into somebody who's not only, doesn't have that despicable belief, but somebody who's, a light.
People, you've heard the concept of rush to judgment. Why is a rush to judgment a pejorative? Why is it a bad thing?
Because when you rush to judgment, you're more likely to screw up, and
you're more likely to make a judgment without all the facts, with the wrong facts, or without properly discerning which facts are true when you have two contradicting viewpoints. So basically, a rush to judgment is not giving due process, not giving a fair shake at the truth. You're not giving it a fair fight, because we have to have little miniature trials anytime we're to discern what's true and what's not. And so I think a lot of arguments are people that rush to judgment because they're going to assume certain facts are true because it supports their worldview. And so that's a rush to judgment. So I think most of our problems with us versus them, with this group versus that group, nobody is sitting down and say, you know what, I'm a fair juror. I'm going to make a decision about what happened here. Who has time for that? I'm going to go sit down every night when I read the news and think and try a case? No, I'm going to rush to judgment because I haven't got time for that, because it's not important. But if there is a material issue that needs to be made, we have to determine what the facts are. We have to sit down and hold court and decide what's true. And that's what we expect our politicians to do. So when you are, as a young man, viewing politics as important, it's because they are adjudicating where resources go based upon what is true or what's not true. And the interesting thing is there are evil people in politics that will adjudicate where things go to give them more power, and they use perception of truth as tools. They don't care what happened. They'd rather it be true because it's easier to sell a bill of goods with true facts, right? But they'll take the wins where they can.
Or, even have a kernel of truth. They start from a true premise and then spin it and spin it and spin it until eventually you're in a downright evil position. I think about one that we've mentioned before is, the Treaty of Versailles. It was wildly unfair. It ended World War I. It was wildly unfair. It placed all the blame for World War I on Germany, which isn't a fair or accurate reading of how World War I happened.
It'd be classic, if these were individuals and it was a family,
yes,
it would be classic scapegoating.
Yes, but the thing is that, and then obviously Hitler took that kernel of truth that Versailles was absolutely unfair, and then he spun it and added a whole bunch of lies on top of that, which led to absolute evil.